Welcome to episode 4, where we are taking a look at our Emeril Lagasse French door air fryer 360. In this video, we're going to cook some steak 2 ways, and then we're going to do some toast. That's kind of boring, but let's get right into the steak. To make our steak, we're going to scroll this over to the steak setting. You can see that it says 12 minutes is my cook time, 500 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this up, and of course we're going to preheat. I think it's interesting to note that you just cook your steak on this wire rack and you put it right here at the number 2 setting. So I'm going to prep my steak while this is preheating, and then we'll set it to cook. I should note that during the preheat, I do have the wire rack in there. I just thought maybe you'd get some sort of a sizzle or grill marks. We'll see when this is done preheating. We just got our beep there. It's about the 10-minute mark of preheating. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull out the grate, throw the steak on, and you did hear that sizzle. All right, close it back up and hit start. The directions tell us for steak, we're going to let this cook for 6 minutes and then flip it over. So really just halfway through. I am a little nervous about the cook. It still looks like it's raw, but let's flip this over anyway. Well, it seems like it's stuck to it. Let's see. There we go. All right, let's push it back in for the remaining 6 minutes. I just noticed this, but only the upper element is actually heating. During the preheat part, both the upper and lower were on, but I can see now that only the upper is heating, so that may impact the cook time. We are about 30 seconds away from the time we are supposed to be done, so I'm going to add more time, but I want you to see what this looks like after 12 minutes. I don't know if you can tell there, but it's still pretty red. So let's let it go for another 6 minutes on this side, then we'll flip it to the other side. So as I was getting closer and closer, I actually touched the side of the machine. I'm like, well, that's not even warm at all. What's going on? So I opened it up, and it was cold inside. Said it was 500 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's on cold, which makes sense why my steak is not cooking. So what I did is I put it back to the preheat cycle. I think it's warming up, but I'm not sure if this thing broke. It may have. Let's see what happens. It definitely looks like it's cooking now. I'm not really sure what happened, why it was counting down, but cooling down. So I'm excited to see it's cooking. I did put a tray right underneath it because it started dripping, and I did not want it to drip on the heating elements. Do you ever do one of those things and like halfway through it, you're like, man, this was a terrible idea? Well, that's how I feel now. The room I'm in is filling up with smoke. I've got windows open and fans blowing. Yeah, cooking a steak in here, I don't know. I am going to try it again to see if we can get it right, but this is going not so good. I should mention that aside from the smoke billowing out of this thing, this is getting grease everywhere inside of that machine. I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to set up another steak and retry this. So I'm not really sure what happened. My guess is when I hit the start or the pause button to flip the steak, it sort of just shut off. Now, I didn't actually have any way of knowing except that I felt the machine that it was no longer hot. It still said 500 degrees Fahrenheit and the timer was counting down. Honestly, it still was making the venting or the air noise, so I'm thinking, yeah, this is fine, but nope, it shut off. Well, let's see how I fixed it, and then, well, we'll have to do it again. We're going to cook it for about 8 minutes, 4 minutes on each side, because that's what the directions tell us. Let's put it in. This time, without accidentally shutting the machine off, it's actually cooking. I flipped it after 4 minutes, and this is looking a whole lot better. So I let it go for the full 10 minutes because it didn't look as cooked as I wanted it, but let's take it out. You can hear that sizzle. For the positives, it actually looks like it cooked really well. I'm going to let it sit here for just about a minute, let it rest. I'm going to cut it open to see it. For the negatives, this thing is covered from top to bottom, left to right, and even the doors in grease. I'm going to have to spend some time now just scrubbing this up and cleaning it. 10-minute cook time, and it looks like our steak is right around medium. Not so bad. I thought that this process was so very messy. I wonder what it's going to be like if I just use the grill feature to make a steak. Let's try that out too. We cooked our steak using the steak feature, and when done correctly, it actually did a really good job. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to try the grill feature to see if we can cook it that way. I'm going to put it to the same 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and then of course we'll lower it down to 8 minutes. Let's get it started to preheat. Once this preheats, we're going to throw our steak on the grill. We'll probably have to flip it halfway through. Just like before when we did the burgers, it took 10 minutes to preheat. Let's open this up and put on our steak. We have reached the midway point, and that means we flip our steak. And I'll be honest, I love the grill lines. It looks like it's cooking nicely. 5 minutes to go. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I heated up my grill at the same time I heated this air fryer up. I threw my steak on my grill, and a few minutes later I put it here, but guess what? 4 minutes to go. The steak on the grill is already done. Well, when that one comes out of the air fryer, we'll do a comparison. The 10-minute timer beeped, and the temperature of the inside of the steak is good. Let's take it off of our grill. I love my grill lines. We'll let it rest for a little bit and then cut it open. Now for the moment of truth. The steak on the left is from the grill, and it's been resting now for 10 minutes. The steak on the right is from the air fryer, and it's been resting for 5 minutes. And the reason there's a difference, of course, is the one on the grill finished cooking first. A quick comparison, they both have some pretty decent grill lines, but I will say that the fat that's on the outside of the steak here on the left from the grill has been charred, and I like that because I'm just going to cut it off anyway, whereas it looked like the fat on the steak on the right, well, it just looks gooey still. Let's cut them open. Just a quick look on the inside. You definitely see there's more pink on the one from the grill as compared to the air fryer. Now, I will say I pulled the one off the grill at about 145 degree internal temperature, that's Fahrenheit, where this one I let run for the entire 10 minutes. I've said this before, but as with air fryers, it's always trial and error to get it to your perfect cook and temperature, so maybe 8 minutes would have been better, but then again, I'm not sure if the fat would have cooked off as much as it did, and I wasn't really impressed with that. Now, I'm gonna go eat some steak. Yes, the grill was messy in the end when you use the regular steak feature, but how did the steak taste? You know what, I'll be really honest, I was surprised. I thought I wasn't gonna like the steak from the air fryer. Both steaks were absolutely delicious. They were moist and well cooked, and I was like, whoa, I'm shocked. This is actually really good. Now, personal bias, I love a steak cooked on a grill over top of a fire. That's my favorite, but the steak on the air fryer was pretty good too. Now that we have all that steak behind us, let's try the toaster function. I remember when I tested out my caloric, I actually had to preheat the oven. I'm so glad that this one does not require preheating, although the times do look kind of lengthy just to toast bread. Let's see how it does. So we have our wire rack on rack holder number 4, which is right where we're supposed to be for toast. I have some white wheat toast right here, and the directions tell us that this machine will toast 4 pieces of bread in 6 minutes. Our doors are closed. Let's roll over to the toast section, which is the third one. This is what it tells us. Let's just hit start. I wanted to point out a few things. You can see this is saying 4 PC, which my guess would be 4 pieces. Also, this is using the top and the bottom heating element, which makes sense. I'm not sure if you can see it from this footage, but there's about 2 minutes left, and I can tell that the bread is getting golden. I really like that it is toasting. Let's see what happens when it beeps. We just beeped. Let's open this up and see if these are really toasted. I'm going to reach in here and grab a piece. It still looks like it did at the beginning. I can feel that it's crispy, but this is not toasted to where I would like it. I'm going to try 4 new pieces and maybe put it in for 8 minutes. Don't get me wrong. I think these are definitely crispy. I would say these would be great toasted bread for like a lunch sandwich if you want to have some nice toasted bread. I've actually turned the machine off. I want it to completely cool down, and then we're going to set it for the new 8-minute timer. So I'm going to go over some of the toast features. So if you click the temperature button, you can actually change the level of toast that you get. So I was on 4 before, now I'm going to go up to level 5. You can also change the time. I guess 4 pieces, 5 pieces, 6 pieces, it just goes up. I don't think I can fit 6 pieces, but I'm going to use this one, which is 7 minutes, 55 seconds to toast my 4 pieces of bread. I know I've shared this in other videos, but it just amazes me with the amount of heat that escapes from the doors on this air fryer. Here we are reaching the end of our 8 minutes or 7 minute 55 seconds. Let's see how they look. Just from first look, we can see that the bread in the back of the air fryer is darker and more toasted than that of the bread in the front. That leads to our uneven cooking. The bottom of the bread, that's just what it looks like front to back. This took about 8 minutes, and yes, it did toast the bread. I think you'd be fine with this, but my toaster takes about maybe 3 minutes. Just as a comparison, 2 minutes in my toaster versus 8 minutes in my air fryer. I like toast that's a little more toasted, but you can also adjust the settings. In my opinion, this air fryer does not replace my toaster. In this video, we are trying out the steak and grill feature plus the toast feature of our Emeril Lagasse French door air fryer 360. So how did it go? Well, a lot of these air fry machines say, hey, this is going to replace all the different appliances in your kitchen. You're going to speed up your cooking and it's going to be a lot better. Plus, that minimalist lifestyle of less appliances. As you can see from this video, it took a lot longer to use the airfryer 360 than just cooking steak on my grill or using my toaster. And for me, that time is important. I just, 2 minutes for toast or maybe 15 minutes including the heat up for cooking a steak. That stuff is important to me. That being said, if you don't already have a toaster or a grill, sure, this thing will come in handy, absolutely. I should mention that if you're cooking steak or chicken or burgers or even rotisserie inside the house, man, it makes the whole house stink. And I'm talking for several days, just so you're aware of that. And that's how we're going to wrap up episode 4 of our Emeril Lagasse French door air fry 360. Yes, it did a great job cooking the steak and even the toast. It just took a little bit longer time than we wanted. If this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for you. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. I just ran the grill part to the sink just to rinse it off from the steak I was cooking, and it rinsed off really, really well, and it just cleaned right up. Now, I am going to use soap and water and clean it, but I was really impressed how fast and easy it actually cleaned up. Much easier than when I cooked hamburgers. So I start with a hot washcloth that had hot water, and I am using a silicone glove just because if I touch anything, I know I'm not going to burn myself. I always start with the glass doors on the inside first, just because the washcloth by nature of cleaning is going to get dirty. After cleaning the doors, I go and work on the side panels, getting in all the grooves, getting around everything. I'm trying to stay away from the heating elements because they still could be hot. But that's what I do. Both sides, I go back and forth all the way down, just scrubbing it off. By the time I get to the back of the machine, it's already cooled down, but I still wear my silicone glove just in case. After I finish the back, I work to the top, but I always steer clear of the heating elements until I know they are 100% cool, and then I'm very careful as I clean them because they are fragile. Once I'm happy with how the inside looks, I do a quick wipe down to the outside, and then I store it away until the next time I need it. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for episode 4, where I reviewed Emeril Lagasse French door air fry 360. If you didn't see episodes 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to link a playlist right up here. But if you've already seen that, I also reviewed another French door air fryer, and it's by Caloric. I'm going to link that playlist right over here. And I would love it if you would click on one of these links. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you here or here. So go ahead, click one. They're safe, I promise.